The best guys we have are the ones who are truly customer centric, who are truly genuinely really interested in their customer's operation, and the one that asks tons of questions, not because they're told to, they're genuinely really interested in the customer's operation, which means that they also come out with better solutions in the end. What we're looking at is opportunity creation. We are looking at the average sales cycle. We are looking also on our win rate, and we're looking at the average revenue per account. So those are the four main metrics that we're actually looking into. What we're trying to do is that I'm trying to have a good mix of the leading and the lagging parameters, meaning that the lagging parameters obviously tells us something about the past. The leading parameters obviously tells us something about where we're going to land. So basically, to add to that is obviously forecast accuracy and so forth, but those are underlying metrics under the four we're actually tracking actively on a daily basis.
Okay, brilliant. Can you talk me through how these metrics bridge the strategic and tactical divide?
Right. So basically what we're expecting to see as we're ramping our sales reps is that we start at some point with maybe a little bit of a lower average revenue per account, but we would like to see over time as part of the sales reps ramp up is that increases, that we are able to take on larger and larger deals. They're able to take on more complex processes. As a result of that, the average revenue per account goes up, but at the same time, we also want to monitor that the average sales cycle doesn't get out of control, meaning that once you take on more complex processes, obviously the sales cycle tends to be longer. However, it can't be that the sales cycle goes unproportionately long, and that's something that we're then hence monitoring. What we're also monitoring to make sure that we're actually on track, then as part of our pipeline generation, we're obviously monitoring the opportunity creation. We have quite a bit of metrics when it comes to what is actually required in order to open up a opportunity. So that's where the sort of more tactical aspect comes into it. Is it actually an opportunity? When should I open it? And finally, what we also then look at, of course, is the win rate, which we also expect to go up once the complex processes become more. At the same time, I think a lot of organizations seem to think that for some reason that you have to have a high win rate. Of course, everybody likes to have a high win rate. However, I see the positive aspects of having a win rate that is maybe somewhere between 20 and 50%, because that means that my guys are also very good and competent when it comes to disqualifying business opportunities. So making sure that we don't spend unnecessary time chasing opportunities that may not come or maybe shouldn't have been opened in the first place. So that gives me a good indication of our ability to actually keep a clean pipeline, and that what we're actually generating is of value for us as well.
Brilliant. So because right now you sound like you're building foundations, you're onboarding.
Yes.
When do you next review your process of like tracking metrics? Do you ever change the metrics that you're tracking?
Oh yeah, so definitely we're doing that. Basically, when you start with Scribe, what every sales rep gets is an onboarding plan. Obviously, it's nothing unique. But however, what we try to do is that we try to break that onboarding and ramp up period down, meaning that instead of just providing a number to say that you're going to do 5% of your quota your first month, we also try to elaborate on what is needed to reach those 5% your first month. What do you need to do from a product training point of view? But maybe more importantly, what do you need to do from an activity point of view? Meaning that we're actually quite advanced in telling if it's going to work or not, actually already after 2 to 3 months, based on the activity and the outcome of that. So what we're doing is that we're altering the metrics over time to go more from activities to actual results, and we're tweaking it more over time as part of the ramp up to the leading parameters, and not looking so much on the lagging ones, because that we already know. If you're on target on your leading, you will be more or less on target on your lagging parameters as well.
Okay, that makes sense. So do you notice any differences between activities for your A players and your B players?
I do. I do, and I think this is also something that's I think is quite interesting.
Mhm.
I think in sales we're quite good at making up excuses for ourselves. Like, yeah, this didn't happen just because of this, and we're also quite good at wishful thinking that if only this happens, I will reach it. So what I see is that I see compared if I take my the guys within Scribe that are really good at this, it's all about setting levels of expectations, right? And it's about accountability as well. And that's what I want to achieve with the onboarding plans and the ramp up plans and the personal development plans that we also set in place, that you are self responsible to a large extent for your own development within the
Mhm.
company. You're also responsible that you take an active choice in actually achieving all the tasks that is required for taking each step of the ramp up, meaning that the things that really stand out doesn't have to do that much with metrics. It has to do with own personal development and career goals, that you have a lot of accountability,
Mhm.
and also that you are really prepared to walking the extra mile. And that boils down to personality, or to a large extent. The
Mm.
best guys we have are the ones who are truly customer centric, who are truly genuinely really interested in their customers operation, and the one that asks tons of questions, not because they're told to, or have a script that say this is the point of the sales process where you should ask a lot of questions.
Mhm.
They're genuinely really interested in the customer's operation, which means that they also come out with better solutions in the end. And they also tend to go towards industries where they have a passion. I have one of the guys in Germany, for instance. He's a real petrol head, kind of like myself, and he's really killing it in the automotive industry, just because he's genuinely interested in cars and motorcycles, and can have a totally different discussion with a customer, and knows all the pain points about selling autos and manufacturing autos.
Mm. That's super interesting. So it sounds like it goes beyond metrics.
Yes.
So it sounds like in your teams, there's a lot of differences with the industries that your reps go by.
Yes.
How do you track that? How do you monitor and know what's working and what's not working?
Yeah. So for us in the e-signing industry, what we need to adhere to is a lot of rules, and that's nothing unique for e-signing as such. But there are, first of all, a lot of compliance that you need to take into account, and there are a lot of differences between the different industries.
Hmm.
There are also a lot of differences between the different markets. So first of all, you need to actually find out what kind of industry could I be successful in. And what we do there is the data mining part, where we look at historical numbers. Where have we been successful, and why? What kind of attributes do we look for within our reps, and who is suitable for doing what? So one is personal interest, obviously, and the
Hmm.
other one is where we actually have the ability to do a big impact, where the solution as such is not only applicable, but we can actually show results quite fast. So what we have done in the team is that we have looked at previous experience, whose experience can we reuse, and how can we do that, and who has a good network within that industry. How can we benefit, and how can we leverage that network, and what we have done before. But it also boils down a lot to what knowledge do, and then we come back to the actions in the ramp up. What is needed if you're going to work within a specific industry? If you're going to work within real estate, what kind of knowledge gaps do we need to bridge, if there are any, and what sort of other aspect needs to be in place. So I would say one part is the planning, and the other one is the execution, where we actually go in and execute on those plans as well.
Brilliant. Okay. What does the cadence look like for planning and execution? Do you have group meetings? Is it one-to-ones? Can you talk me through that?
Yeah. So basically, I do bi-weekly one-to-ones with all the team members, where we go through the personal development, we go through the personal metrics. Then in group, we discuss how can we as a group become better? How can we learn from each other? What
Mm.
has worked really well? And we do that at least once a week. We try to do it once a week. Normally, yeah, we end up with maybe twice a week sometimes, and sometimes it's bi-weekly. But then we have a really specific topic. Could be a change in regulation, could be a challenge with from a product point of view, could be something that we have done really well as a campaign. Because what we're trying to do as well in our outreach is to always be relevant. And this is nothing unique for Scribe or e-signing. Everybody tries to be relevant in their outreach. But what we're also trying to leverage, and the cadence from planning to execution, is that we're constantly evaluating all the time. And we're using something that we call a win-loss analysis from a company called ProSales, recently acquired by Mercury International.
Mhm.
So after we complete the sales process, we send a win-loss analysis to our customers where we ask, what can I as a sales rep do better next time? Can we maybe challenge better? Can we develop ideas? And that gives me a very good framework when I coach my sales reps, because this is something that we get from our customers, that this is what you guys did really well, and this is what you guys can do better next time. And we send that survey independent of if we're successful or if we lose the business opportunity. And when we lose, tying back to the win rate, is where we can learn the most. So that's where we spend most of the time to actually figure out what can we do different next time to earn that trust from the customer.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay. And do you have any tech that you're a fan of when it comes to like tracking metrics and analyzing win rate? Anything that will help you enable your reps?
Yeah, so basically we're using Salesforce. We have been doing for the longest of times. We also have a native integration into Salesforce, so
Mm.
it's one of our strongest partnerships as well. And we were an early adopter of Tableau. So when Salesforce acquired Tableau, that was a good thing for us. So what we're doing is that we're trying to keep all the tracking, sales related tracking within Salesforce,
Mhm.
also from a customer success point of view. So here I have everything from activities to long-term goals to forecast as well. And what we have started doing quite recently is the movement of forecast, because Salesforce is good at taking snapshots of the forecast. What I like
Mhm.
to see is that last Monday, your forecast said this, it was these 15 accounts, and it was this amount of money. Now your forecast says this. So the amount of money has changed and the number of accounts have changed. It's not the same accounts anymore. So we look at a lot from a weekly point of view. What do we enter with in a month and what do we exit with within a month when it comes to forecast accuracy, to tell that it's not just that you're going to be on target, you're going to actually be on target with the accounts that you thought that you would close when you enter the period. And that's something that has shown quite significant impact for us, that we're
Mhm.
actually able to close the accounts that we think we close, and not the ones that comes from the side as a happy surprise. And then because I think a lot of companies, it's like, oh, you did budget, good, and then you don't focus on how you did budget and how you got there.
Mhm.
And the forecast accuracy has actually also proven to serve us quite well when it comes to the interest of investing in Scribe as well from
Mm.
external investors.
Fantastic. So, is an outcome that you're looking for in forecasting not whether the reps hitting their number, but how accurate they think that they're going to hit their number and whether
Yeah.
they've actually done that.
Yeah, and I want to know, maybe more important than anything, when you don't hit your numbers, we always try to figure out why,
Mm.
instead of just asking, so what did you do good last week and what can you do better? To say that these are the number of accounts that you went in with. What happened with this specific account? You said that you committed to this when you entered the month, and now it's a close loss. I'd like to know why. Not because you did anything wrong. I just want to know why we weren't successful, so we can do less of that behavior in the next process, together with the dialogue and the input we get from our customers.
Mhm.
But maybe also more importantly, at a later stage, to be able to say to a new rep, this product line will take this amount of time and effort to sell. So when you're telling me that you're going to close this month, I don't believe you, because you opened up this opportunity 2 weeks ago. We know
Mhm.
for a fact that it takes at least 6, right? To be actually even more data driven, and helping our sales rep being successful faster when they join Scribe.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, Patrick, last question for you. So, are there any mistakes that you could share with the community?
Tons of them.
All of them,
Uh,
loads of them. But yeah,
yeah,
any
so
when it comes to tracking metrics.
I think you I think one of the, because I've spent quite a few years within analytics as well, I think one of the mistakes that most companies do is that they say that now we have a report, now we have the metrics,
Mhm.
now we're good. That's the easy part, setting the report up and deciding on the metrics. To actually use them on a daily basis and making sure that everybody within the organization, especially within revenue, knows what they're meaning and why we track them and
Mhm.
how you're supposed to use them in your daily operations. That's where most people fail, and most organizations. And we have done that to a large extent as well, to not be able to actually facilitate all these ones and actually use them as part of the sales process, to make sure that you understand why you should adhere to certain aspects of a sales process, or why you should should even bother about going through a report, and how to actually interpret the report and what it means for you, to actually translate those numbers into tangible actions that I'm supposed to do. And that's when I think the coaching part comes into place to play as well. And I think to start with what's really affecting your business, and not try to do everything at once, because I think that's a common mistake as well. So what is actually what are actually the metrics that are that's going to decide if you're going to be successful or not? You start with those, making sure that everybody knows what they mean and how you can implement them as part of your daily operations as well. So we look at the metrics now, every sales meeting we have within the team, everybody knows what they mean for them, and we can pretty much say that, yeah, we will not be successful in November unless we act now. We know that already now in August. And I think that's when you really become successful, when you realize as a sales rep that I need to change something in my way of working now, because in like 3 weeks it's going to be too late, right?